All right, in this chapter, we're going to talk about what is an entrepreneur, what's required to be one. An entrepreneur is someone who starts a business and runs a business. It's literally that simple, not complicated at all. Some entrepreneurs buy businesses, but really, we're going to talk about starting businesses from scratch. In entrepreneurship, we're going to break it into two categories. You can break it into a lot of categories. This is how we decided to do it. But there's Main Street businesses. These are kind of, I don't want to say basic businesses, but of the 26 million businesses in the US, this comprises the vast, vast majority of them. It could be catering, lawn care, painting. They're the types of businesses that just sort of make America run. The second type of business is a tech business or a high-tech business. And that's a very small component of the total population of businesses. But it's, these high-tech type of operations. And I ran a software company. I'll be talking a little bit about that. I don't think it really matters too much about how we divide these categories, although during the course, we may stipulate what is more important in certain types of business, so we wanted to break that out for you. Traits of an entrepreneur. Being passionate about the business, boy, that is incredibly important. You got to love what you're doing. You're going to run into roadblocks. There's going to be setbacks. You got to love what you're doing. To be an entrepreneur, you have to be proactive. What do we mean by that? You got to be fighting on your front foot. It means you have to be always moving the ball forward. The truth is, to be an entrepreneur, you probably are not going to be a super laid-back person in terms of the work you're doing. You can be a chill person in personality, something I'm not, but you're always moving the ball forward. You're thinking about the things you got to be doing to make the business run better. You also need to be a calculated risk taker. Remember, when you get involved in entrepreneurship, it's risky on its own. So people will think of entrepreneurs as these wild risk takers. That might be true from the sense that they're in business for themselves. And that is true. But when you're in business for yourself, you're taking calculated risks, and you can kind of know where to go and what paths to go on. Entrepreneurs are adaptive. That means they change. But that's sort of like a bumper sticker. During the course, we're going to try to avoid these sort of platitudes or euphemisms, right? Adaptiveness seems like one of them. What I mean by that specifically is as new data comes in, as you learn more from your customers, your employees, from the market, you're changing your path. Important, I think it's a necessary ingredient. I won't say a lot of people, but some people are so fixed on their path independent of data that maybe entrepreneurship is not for them. You got to be willing to change. If you have employees, you need to be somewhat of a good leader. By the way, I was going to mention this in the beginning, but I forgot. If you go through this list and you feel a little bit self-conscious that you don't have every single attribute I'm mentioning, or every attribute in equal proportion, don't worry about it. Some people are great leaders, some people are not so great leaders. You don't need to be great at all of this stuff, but the better you are at a lot of it, the more chance you have for success. So if you have employees, you probably need to be effective on the leadership side. You need to have financial self-control. What does that mean? It really usually means that you can't spend more than you're making. But it also means that you need to be looking at your business very carefully. For example, if you're getting a paycheck right now, you're probably getting roughly the same amount of money each month. When you're an entrepreneur, the amount of money you're getting might be high one month, it could be low the next month, high again. So you have to have the discipline to not overspend during a good month or during a good time. You need financial self-control, especially, by the way, when it comes to spending money on personal items. You need really a ton of self-control on how you spend your personal money. You have to be willing to learn. There's no question about it. Before I started SageWorks, which is a tech company, I did consulting and I ran across hundreds of entrepreneurs. The best entrepreneurs are open, they're learning, they're listening. Sure, they're a little obstinate. There's no question about it. I am too. You've got to be obstinate to start a business, but you also have to be open to new information. You've got to be learning and getting better. That's definitely necessary. Not everybody has that. You have to be able to communicate, but I don't mean necessarily that you have to be a great orator. I'm not a great orator, whatever that is, speaker. But you have to be able to communicate with people. And a lot of that is good listening. So if you're dealing with customers or employees, you're able to communicate your ideas. You don't have to be an extrovert, but you got to be able to communicate those ideas, listen, and just have a good path of communication going. I want to end this section on this point. It's important. If I am a new entrepreneur and I'm listening to this section, it could intimidate me a little bit, as I mentioned before. You don't need to be great at all these things, but you want to be aware that these are basic attributes that will really dictate your success.